Hey everyone, it's Megan with Alder and Nance, and today I wanted to talk to you about pressing hams. When I first started my sewing journey, I went ahead and made a set of pressing hams and Taylor sausages. And this is before I really knew what they should have been made out of. And I didn't know how they were really supposed to fill. So my first one I made was this Taylor's ham, pressing ham. And it's made with a felt fleece backing and quilting cotton. I also made this Taylor sausage, which again, quilting cotton, fleece, felt, whatever on the back. And I'll show you my Taylor's bust ham here in just a minute. But one thing with my process of making these back when I first started sewing, I filled these with scrap fabrics and things like that before I really knew what they should have been filled with. This one is extremely pliable. It's not hard. I have a really hard time pressing with it, but it worked at the time. And I actually really enjoyed using this, but I have since learned that this should have been wool, and inside really needed to be filled with something a little bit more sturdy. And I did the same thing with this one. Now, a couple of weeks ago in my video that I will link on one of the other sides up here for you is my cleaning video, where I also shared that I made a boob ham. And I made this boob ham, but I filled it with rice. And that works. It's a lot more dense than this one, but it moves around a lot too, and I just wish I had filled it with something else. So I did some research and I started making an entire set of different pressing hams, Taylor sausages, and another boob ham. I went on to Kate Makes and downloaded all of her patterns for her Taylor's hams and sausages. And this is my first one that I made. And this, yes, it still has some pliability to it, but it's a lot more dense than this one. But I thought this one was a little small, so I made myself a mega ham by actually expanding her pattern in Adobe Illustrator and making it larger to fit my needs. And this one I'm hoping really works out. So we'll see. I also ended up making two different sizes, and this is included in her pattern of Taylor sausages. So I've got a mini and a mega sausage, and I also remade my boob ham. Some real density to it, so it's not going to collapse like this one. I don't know if you could see this, but this one I'm not able to squeeze around like that. So I actually filled these with a product that I got from Tractor Supply. It is the pine wood shavings, the fine pine wood shavings, and I sat outside. Make sure you do this outside. And I just stirred stuffing. And this one I got a lot in. I need to go back in and stuff some more on this one, and also this one. These two I need to stuff just a little bit more to really get them real dense, because as you can see, I'm able to kind of squeeze these around. Not as much this one. This one I could squeeze a little bit through here, but it's nowhere near as much as this one. I can really squeeze this. And this one, I really can't squeeze much at all. I really packed this one really dense. But that's what I ended up doing, and I'll leave a link to Kate Makes for you to be able to go ahead and download these patterns. They are free. And if you know how to draw your own ham, you don't have to do what I did by going into Adobe Illustrator and expanding a pattern. You can draw your own pressing ham. You can draw them any shape that you feel you need. This set has come out really well, and I'll show you a couple clips of how I made them. I can see it all so clear. We're just broken people. Okay, so this is the original pattern that I made for my ham, and it ended up being quite a bit smaller than what I wanted, and the lumps will be worked out over time, but it ended up being quite a bit smaller. So I went ahead and jumped into Adobe Illustrator, and I took Kate's pattern and I expanded it. So I'm going to ignore the seam allowance right here. I'm still going to use her 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to remake my tailor's ham. So I have one that's a little bit bigger than this one. And I also have learned that I need to make sure I cut my corners. And I did this one differently than I did this one. And also this one. And this one. So these are all of the tailor's hams that I've made today. And I've learned my lesson from this one and this one were made completely different. This and these two were made the same way. What I ended up doing is I did this one separately. I did the lining first, and then I did the exterior, and then I shoved the lining down inside of the exterior, and then I filled it. And I don't know what happened with it. It made it a pain to try and fill, where these were real easy to fill. So this time I'm just gonna do the lining and the exterior all together. So both sides together, and then flip it inside out. And then fill it instead of doing it the way I did this. And can you hear that? These things are rock solid, and I'll go ahead and show you what I've been using to fill these up with. It is actually an item that I got from Tractor Supply, and I'm going to turn it upside down. It is the premium pine shavings, and they are the fine ones. So they have broken down, and putting them inside of here has been really easy, and getting them nice. There's some give, but I'm not worried about it. I know I'm not going to be able to stuff it so packed that I can't even do this with them. So this one is still going to be used. I'm still going to use this. It's not as big as I would have liked, because I already had one tailor's ham that I stuffed with just fabric scraps. And I did this one differently than I did these. These are just complete cotton. This one I did felt, and then I did cotton. But I filled these with just fabric scraps and stuff like that. Just shoved it full, and pillow hard. And with this being a hard, well, it's a soft wood, which I really wish I could have gotten the cedar shavings, but they were so much more expensive than the pine ones. So for now, and this is just like a pillow, and I've had a hard time using this one in the past, so I'm glad that I am getting some bigger and better pressing hams. And I like my 2 different Taylor sausage, and then my bust ham or boob ham. So I've got several different ones, and we'll just go from there. I will come back tomorrow and redo the tailor's ham with the bigger one. So see, you can even see here the difference between these two. This one is just slightly bigger. I mean, just slightly bigger. This one's thicker than this one, but this one's wider. So these will be better for pressing curves than this one ever was. So I'm excited about having a bigger one. This will be good for doing Ryan stuff or some smaller seams. And then this one will be good for different other seams. So we'll see how this goes and how I go on displaying these in the office. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this week. I can't wait to see you next week when I am making my petticoat slip.